Greetings, it is I, Tantus Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome! It is time for Gathering the Roll, the only news program supported by the Empire, with exciting and fantastic news from the worlds of Magic the Gathering and other collectible card games, role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons, Shadowrun, and Pathfinder, and of course, plenty of tabletop board games out there. So let's dive right into that news with collectible card games first, and of course, let's start with Magic. The first big thing is they have released the new updated banned and restricted list for January. Now this is going to be a big one because they've updated and had 3 cards banned in Standard, 2 in Modern. So normally they don't put any bans out in Standard, but you know, with the new ways of sets, they have decided to put a ban down on some in Standard. So it will be some more months before we see this list updated again, but for now, you can check it out, see what changes in the cards have occurred. The other big news story in Magic, of course, is Aether Revolt. The entire set has been spoiled. So now you can go online, check out the complete set of cards, everything in it, from every basic land to every creature, see all the cards, and enjoy the spoilers. So you know what's coming up in the coming weeks for the pre-release and the upcoming release of Aether Revolt. Now let's move on to some role-playing game news. Of course, let's start with Dungeons & Dragons. They have announced a new compilation of 7 adventures called Tales of the Yawning Portal. This book isn't out until April, of course, but it's going to be a compilation of 7 smaller adventures that you can go on with your players. So rather than a big adventure, like they've had the Storm King's Thunder or Curse of Strahd, now you have 7 smaller adventures that you can check out and go on and have less sessions, you know, just little things that you can do with your characters. They've also, of course, released a new Unearthed Arcana. This one's a little different. It's a new class. They've introduced the Artificer, a class that mixes uses of spells, creating magic items, and creating mechanical servants into a mixture that allows them for an interesting type class. And some of the archetypes are interesting, introducing alchemy and gunplay, especially if you as a dungeon master would allow them into your universe. You could approve of this experimental class. So go ahead and check it out online. Links in the description below. Now let's move on to some FASA news with some more Earth Dawn. Of course, they're continuing their preview of High Circle play, as I said before, leading up to the new product release that's going to have everything together. They've shown off the High Circle Scout, becoming masters of both understanding and manipulating their environment and having great knowledge of it. The High Circle Scout is a new and an interesting discipline for you to check out. And this is, of course, circles 9 to 15 if you're playing at that high level of a play. Let's move on to some board and card game news. Steve Jackson Games has 3 new products that have come out. Of course, 2 are in the Munchkin line and 1 is not. Now, and for the Munchkin line, we of course have Munchkin Hidden Treasures. This is an exciting one as it's a compilation of a number of previously released cards which are hard to find now. So you can check it out, get these cards that maybe you wanted at the time but couldn't get, and now you can get them compiled together in Hidden Treasures. The other one is Munchkin Valentine. Not only does this release have a bunch of new cards associated with it, it also comes with 5 actual Valentines and envelopes. So not only do you get some cards to play with, you can actually send some people Munchkin-themed Valentines if you really want to over the upcoming holiday in February. Now, for the other game they've released Tribes, a game where you take on the roles of cavemen and women and attempt to survive. Check it out if you want to. The information linked below. Now, in other board game release news is Brussels 1893. This vague update of a classic game allows you to take on the role of an artist during the Nouveau Riche style in Europe. So you're attempting to create your great works and show them off and prove yourself to be the greater artist out of everyone else in play. So go ahead and check out that board game if you want to. Sounds like an exciting one. So that's it for the news for this week. As I said, links to any of these news stories will be in the description below. Remember to like, subscribe, and of course share the news. It's always great too. If you have any kind of questions, any kind of comments, anything you want to discuss, please just leave it in the comments below. If it's anything you want us to go over in this week's Discussing Tabletop at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, you can also leave those in the discussion below. We'll talk about them on that day. Remember, that's going to be at www.twitch.tv/Tantus and Dracovin, all one word, TANTUSNDRACOVIN. And you can join us either there in chat to ask your questions if they relate to anything here, or if you have a question that you want us to answer in our discussion format that's related to one of these stories, go ahead and put it here. Otherwise, I'll do the best of my ability to answer any questions, comment on anything that you will leave in the description below. And remember, if you want to show extra support for the channel and the Empire, you can always check out my Patreon, listed in the description below. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.